Hello guys, welcome back to Analytics with Priyam. So in this video, I will tell you about a project based on Uber trip analysis. So this project will be end to end and the video will be too long. So I am going to cover this into two parts. So this one will be the first part in which what I am going to do, our data reside in our SQL server. So basically we are going to import this data into our data flows and to in Fabric Lakehouse, and in Fabric Lakehouse data flows and 2, and there we are going to do some other transformation, just like we are going to rename the columns, we are going to add some calculated columns, and some of the data transformation we are going to cover, and also we are going to add a calendar table. Okay, so after this we are going to write this data into our lakehouse, and in lakehouse we are going to uh, create a semantic model in SQL Analytics endpoint, and in semantic model we are going to create the measures and the sorting order, and we are going to do a modeling in which there will be a fact table and some of the dimension tables. We are going to create the cardinalities with the fact table, and after then we are going to import the semantic model in our Power BI, and in Power BI we are going to connect it as a live connection, and in this Power BI we are going to cover the visualizations, buttons, bookmarks, drill through, tool tips. Stay connected with this video. So guys, let's back to screen. So let me show you the business requirement document in which we are having some of the requirement which is provided by the business. So we are going to deliver a end-to-end project in which there it is showing that dashboard one is overview analysis, in which we are going to show some of the KPIs, and there is some expected outcome, just like identified trend in ride booking and revenue generation. So analysis trip efficiency like this, and here also provided some of the charts, just like create a measure selector using this connected table which with the following values: total booking value, total trip, and then by payment type, cash or card or wallet. And there is some additional enhancement, just like dynamic title. So the title of the chart should be dynamic. Slicers, what are the slicers should be present, tooltips. After then it is showing the vehicle type analysis. Okay, so basically in this we have to use a Pbix or matrix visual, in which we have to apply the conditional formatting. Also we have to enable the sorting and filtration. Okay, so these are some of the things we have to consider, just like detecting trends and fluctuations in daily trip by volume. Okay, so there is also a location analysis, in which it is most frequent pickup point, most frequent drop off point. Okay, total bookings by location, most preferred vehicle or location pickup. So also we are going to implement the buttons and bookmarks. So just like at a data details. Okay. Okay, so it is also asking to clear a reset. We have to give a reset button in which we have to clear all the slicers. Okay, we have to give a button in which the users can able to export their raw data. Okay, so our page 2 will be time analysis, in which we are going to deliver the data based on the time. Okay, so just like pickup time by day, name, okay, by hour and time. So also they have provided some of the chart, just like area chart, line chart, heat map or matrix. Okay, and the dashboard 3 will be the page 3 will be details tab, in which we are going to deliver some of the charts, just like grid table with key fields, display essential trip details. Okay, bookmarks also we have to use. So uh, this kind of detailed end to end analysis we are going to do, and we are going to deliver end to end project. Okay, so let me show you the data set. So basically our data reside in our SQL server. So basically there are two tables, one is location details and another one is trip details. So let me show you the number of rows in each of the table. Okay, let me show. Okay, in trip details it is having near about it is loading. Okay, so near about 1,03,729 rows. Okay, let me show you the another one. Okay, so basically in this table we are having 266 rows. Okay, so basically this data we are going to bring in our Fabric account, and let me go back to our Fabric account and let's create another workspace. Okay, let me name it as a Uber trip analysis. Okay, so let me apply it. Okay, now let me create a data flows into, and also we are going to use a lake house where we are going to store our data into our lake house. Okay, so first of all let me create a lake house. Let me name it as a Uber trip. Okay, so here we are not going to follow the Medallion architecture, as in my previous video I have shown previously. I have created a lot of videos in which I have followed the Medallion architecture. So here the video will be too long, so I am not following here the Medallion architecture, but in some of the organization we have to follow the Medallion architecture. So let me take our data flows into. Okay, let me name it as a Uber trip. So basically with the help of our data flows and two, we are going to pull the data from to the SQL server and we are going to ingest it into our lakehouse. And in data flows and two, we are going to do some of the transformations, just like we have to use the calendar table. Okay. So also we are going to do the modeling in lakehouse. Let me show you one by one. Let me pull the data from to the server. So my server name is Priyam. Okay, let me copy it, and the data is residing in adventure works. Let me copy this database. Okay, let me paste it here. Okay, now, okay, so basically we are using on-premise data gateways. So let me click on next. Okay, let me load the tables. Okay, trip details and location details. Okay, let me add it. Okay, so as you can see, we have to use first row as a header because our rows are shifted one row down. So let me go and use first row as a header. Okay, so basically in this we are having the three columns only, and we have to check the data type. Okay, so the data type is also perfect. We don't need to do anything. Okay, now let me go to our trip details. Okay, here also we have to use first row as a header. Okay, also we have to create a calendar table. So let me use the Mcode to create the calendar table. So basically I am having the Mcode. Let me copy it. Okay, let me get data from to the blank query, and let me paste it here. So I will modify the start date and end date afterwards. Let create. Okay, let me name it as a calendar table. Okay, so basically we have to connect it with our with our trip details. So we have to find out the start date and the end date. So let me get the start date, sort it as ascending. Okay, 6/1/2024. Let me sort it by descending. Okay, 6/30/2024. Okay, so basically we are having only 1 month of data. Let me check it again. Okay, so basically we have created the calendar table. So basically we have to create a calculated column in which we are going to pull the date column. Only we have to extract the date from to the pickup time column. Okay, so let me create a calculated column. Here basically in Power Query we are having a function called date.from, and we are having the pickup time. Okay, we have to extract from here. Let me give the name as a pickup date. Okay, data type will be date. Okay, so let's create the column. Okay, so basically we have created a date column in which we are having only the date. Okay, now basically all the measures we are going to create in our lakehouse. Okay, so not in lakehouse but in semantic model. So we are going to create a semantic model out of these three tables. So let's add the destination to all these three tables. So we have created our lakehouse and we are going to insert all these three tables into our lakehouse. Okay, so basically Uber trip. Here we have to check the data type and we have to see whether all the data type is correct or not. Okay, in trip detail also we have to add the lake house. If further required, we will create a calculated column and we are going to refresh this data flow. Okay, so let's publish this data flow. Okay, let's wait for it to succeed. So guys, as you can see, our data flow is successfully published. Okay, so let me open our lakehouse and let me show you all the three tables. Okay, so here we are having all the three tables ingested into our lakehouse. Okay, now what we have to do, we have to create a semantic model out of these three tables. Okay, so let's go to SQL Analytics endpoint. Okay, here in reporting we have to click on manage default semantic. Okay, so here we have to click on automatically update the semantic model. Okay, so basically here we have to click on manage default semantic model. Okay, here we have to load all our three tables. Those tables are already selected. Okay, so let me confirm it. Okay, now let me go to model layouts. Okay, so here you can see there are some of the system generated tables. Okay, so let me go over default semantic model. Let us create. Okay, so basically here what we are going to do, we are going to select only our tables. These are the system generated tables, and when you will import these tables into Power BI, so these will not load. Okay, so let me put all our three tables at one place. Okay, so basically with the location ID we are going to create a relationship with our fact table. Okay, Okay, and with the pickup date we are going to create a relationship. Okay, so let me update the semantic model. Okay, so our semantic model is updated. Okay, now here what we can do, we have to create some of the measures. So we are going to right click it and we are going to create a new measure. Okay, so basically first we have to do one thing, just like here. Okay, so there is a month name, we have to sort it by month. And also month sort, we have to sort it by month name. Okay, so now we are going to create some of the measures, just like, let me show. There are various KPIs, so we have to use a card visual in which we have to show all these 6 measures we have to create. So first let's create the total booking. Okay, so in the trip details we are going to create all these measures. So let's right click and create a new measure. Okay, let me name it as a trip booking, as a total booking. And basically for calculating a total booking we are having a trip ID. So this is a unique ID, so we are going to use as a count of trip ID. So this will give you the total booking. Okay, now total booking value. Okay, so let's create another measure. Okay, total booking value is basically a total booking amount. So basically we are having a surge fee and there is also one column fair amount. Okay, so we are going to add this fair amount and a surge fee. Okay, so let's create a new measure. Let me name it as a total booking amount. Sum of fair amount and plus sum of surge fee. Okay, so this will give us a total booking amount. So the next one is average booking value. Okay, so basically we have to get the average. So we have calculated total booking amount, total booking and total booking amount. Okay, so what we are going to do, we are going to divide the total booking amount with the total booking. So this will give us a average booking amount. Okay, so let's create a new measure. Name it as a average booking amount. Here we are going to use a divide function. Okay, so our numerator will be total booking amount and denominator will be total booking, and if there is alternate result, so it will give us as a blank. Okay, now we have to calculate total trip distance. Okay, so trip distance, let me create a new measure. So we are having a trip distance, so we are going to submit. Let me name it as a total trip distance is equal to sum of trip distance. Okay, now what we are having, Av- average trip distance. Okay, so basically we have calculated total trip distance. Okay, so we are going to create average trip distance. Here we are going to use average function trip distance. Okay. Okay, now so we have to calculate the average trip time. Okay, so for calculating the average trip time, let me go back to our table. Okay, so basically we are having two time columns, pickup time and drop off time. Okay, so basically first we have to calculate the difference between these two time, and after then we have to calculate the average of those the difference. Okay, so what we are going to use, we are going to use the average x function, in which we are going to use datif. So basically the first argument in datif will be our pickup time, and the second argument will be the drop off time. Okay, and interval will be the minutes. Okay, we are going to calculate the difference in minutes. Okay, so let's create a measure. Let me name it as a average trip time. Okay, so we are going to use average x. We want the row by row calculation, and it is asking about the table name. So our table name is trip detail. Okay, and in expression we are going to use date difference. Okay, so date 1 will be our pickup time, and second date will be drop off time, and we are going to use as a minute. Interval will be our minute, so it will calculate the average. Okay, so now let's open Power BI report. So we have calculated all these measures. Okay, so rest of the measures we will create afterwards. Let's start creating a Power BI report. Okay, so let me add the text box. Okay, so here let me add the background color. Okay, so here we are going to choose a light color. Okay, so let me turn on the visual border. Okay, now what we are going to do, we are going to add another text box. Okay, here we are going to write down the title over trip detail. Okay, let me bold it and let me increase the size. Okay, change it to Arial. Okay, here now I'm going to use a pipe and we are going to write down our page name. So first page is our overview analysis. Okay, so here we are going to name it as a overview analysis. So I'm going to minimize the font size. Okay, okay, let me use a different color for this. Okay, here I'm going to use purple color. Okay, okay, we are not going to use the border. Okay, okay, now let's get the data from to our lake house. Okay, as we are having a semantic model. Okay, let us connect this semantic model. Okay, as you can see, we got all our tables and all our measures which we have created. Okay, so now we are going to create the KPIs. So basically in this page we are going to create 6 KPIs. Okay, so let us go and create one by one. Let me put a card visual. Okay, so our first API is total bookings. So let me add the total bookings. Okay, let me format it a little bit. Category level let turn off, and here we are going to write it as a total booking. Okay, and this should be in the middle, and now let me change the color to the same color which we have used. Okay, so I'm using the purple color. Let me add. Okay, let me add the visual border and with some of the rounded corner. Okay, now I'm going to use the same, copying the same, and the second KPI will be total booking value. Okay, so I'm going to remove it. I'm going to add the total booking value. Okay, so here we have to change the name. Create the height and width same as all the visuals. Height is 115 and width is 205. Okay, the same we are going to take. Now I'm going to copy this one and paste it again. Now I'm going to add the third one, average booking value. Okay, copying the same. Total trip distance. Okay, let's minimize some of the spaces. We have to keep two more. Here we are going to use average trip distance. The height and width. So the last one is average trip time. Okay. Okay. Now let us reduce the font size. Okay. We can keep 32 of every card visual. Okay. Now I am selecting all. Okay. Okay. So we are going to use distribute horizontally. So guys, now we are going to add the images into our card visual. Also, let's change the name of this visual. Okay, so basically it is average booking value. Okay, so let's add the images. Go here and click on images. So we are going to use these all the images into our report. So I have chosen this one. Wherever we are showing the total amount, we are going to use this image. Okay, so for to the total booking we are going to use this image. So basically for to the total booking value I have used this image. Okay, and for to the total booking I have used this image, and for to the average booking value, let me insert one of the image. Okay, so we can use this one. Okay, now for to the total trip distance we can use another image. Okay, this one. and for to the average we can use another image. And for to the average strip time we are going to use another image, so we are going to use this image. Okay, so we have created all our KPI visuals. So let us go to our next problem statement. So we have created all these KPIs. Now we have to go to our charts. Okay, so basically here it is saying that create a measure selector using a disconnected table with the following values: total bookings, total booking value, total trip distance. Then use a measure to dynamically update the visualization based on user selection by payment type, by trip type. Okay, so what it is saying that we have to create a dynamic slicer in which we are having the values total booking value and total trip distance. So again we have to create a donut chart and with the slicer selection by these three values. So basically we have to create a measure in which we are having all the three values. Okay, and we have to create a donut chart in which it should show the values depending upon by payment type. Okay, so when the user is selecting the total booking, so uh, the donut chart should show the total bookings by payment type, total booking value by payment type, total trip distance by payment type. Okay, and another chart will show the total bookings by trip type, total booking value by trip type, and total trip distance by trip type. Okay, so basically here let's go over visualization pan. Okay, so basically here what we have to do, we have to create a dynamic table. Okay, in which we should be having the values of total bookings, total booking value, and total trip distance. Okay, so let's go to our. Okay, so basically I have already created a dynamic table, so let me show you how we can create a dynamic table. Okay, yeah, so basically this is our dynamic table. So as we are having a live connection, so we have to go to our data flow Zen2, and with the help of a Power Query editor we can create a dynamic table. If we have connected with the import mode or a direct query, then we should have used the parameters, but it is connected live, so the parameter pan is disabled. Okay, you can see the parameter pan is disabled. So here what I have done, I have created a dynamic table. So let me show you the source. So basically I would be needing the three index column and the choice column. Okay, so it is depending upon the user selection. So I have taken the total booking, total booking amount, total trip distance. Okay, and we have created the table. So it is loading. Let's wait until it loads. Okay, so you can see it is having id column and the choice type. Okay, so we have selected our lake house u uber trip, and we have given the name as a dynamic. Okay, so once we have published the data flow, and it is now replicating in our semantic model. So let me show you. Okay, okay, so basically, okay, so here in the lake house we are getting this dynamic table. Okay, let me switch to SQL Analytics endpoint, and in model layouts. Okay, so basically in model layout, we got our table. This is our table, dynamic table. So we don't have to create a relationship with our fact table. So it is by default, it will be a user selection. Okay, so we don't need to create a, relationship. And for this, we have also created a measure. So this is our selected measure. So basically in this, what we are doing, so suppose if from to the measure, if the user is selecting the total booking, then it should return the total booking. Okay, we are already having a total booking as a measure, so it should return a total booking. If the user is selecting total booking amount from to the this table, okay, from to the measure, uh, so if the user is selecting total booking amount from to the slicer, then it should display the selected value for to the total booking amount. Okay, similar to this also. So also we need a title in which the title should display according to the measure, according to the slicer which is selected. Okay, if the slicer has selected total booking, so the title of the donut chart should display payment type by total booking by payment type. Okay, so for this we have created one of the measure, just like concatenate and the selected value of to the slicer and by payment type. Okay, so let's go over visualization. Okay, so here what we need to do, we have to create one slicer. Let's create one slicer, and let me add the choice. Okay, so it is showing the three choices. Now let me go to format it in the format painter. Okay, in the format we can slicer header we have to disable. Okay, it should be a tile. Okay, now okay, so let's increase the, and it should be bold, and the font color should be black. Okay, now what we have to do, we should create one of the shape. Okay, so let me add one shape. Okay, it should be a rectangle. Here we have to select it and bring it to forward, bring to front. Okay, now we have to place it here. format the shape. So okay, now here let me add the donut chart. Okay, so basically here what we have to show, we have to show the legend should be the payment type and the values should be the selected measure which we have created. Okay, so let's choose one of the booking. Okay, so here you can see our title is also showing some difference, so we have created a title measure. So let's go to the format and here let us turn off this. Okay, here we can select our dynamic title, this one. Okay, okay, so whenever the user will select any of the booking amount, so it will show according to that. Just like if I am selecting total booking amount, so it is showing total booking amount by payment type. If I am choosing total trip distance, so it is showing total trip distance by payment type. Okay, so you can create this, this kind of dynamic. So basically you can create this kind of dynamic filtration and dynamic measure with the help of a measure, and you can also create a calculated table. Okay, so if it is a direct mode, so you can also create a parameter. So with the help of a parameter it will be a too easy. Let me do some of the modifications to it. Okay, so legend. Okay, here the title I don't want. Okay. And the title should be in the middle and it should be black bold. Also here the slices you can select any of the colors. Let me select this color. As yellow. Okay, so here we should turn on the border. Okay. Okay, so let's go to our next problem statement. So we have to create a donut chart by trip type day and night. So basically we will be needing a column which will show the date time the trip is either a daytime or at a night time. Okay, so we have to create a calculated column into our data flows n2. Okay, so let's go our data flows n2, and here you can see we are having the two times, pickup time and drop off time. So basically we have to convert we will be needing a hour column in which it will show the difference between the pickup time and the drop off time. Okay, so here is our pickup time. Okay, let's go and create a custom column. Okay, let me name it as a hour, and here we are having, let me convert it into a whole number. Okay, so here we are having a m query. So m function is just like time dot hour, and in the bracket we'll select the pickup time. Okay, so this will return the hour duration. Okay, so you can see it will give all the 24 hours starting from 0. Okay, so we got all our hours. Okay, now we have to create a calculated column in which we have to show either it is a daytime or it is a night time. Okay, so let's create a conditional column based on the hour. Okay, so what I am considering, so if the hour is greater than or equal to, okay, if it is greater than or equal to 5 p.m., then it should show the night time, or else yeah, and else if it is less than, if the hour is less than uh, yeah, let me select hour is less than 6 p.m., 6 a.m. Okay, yeah, 6 a.m., then it should consider a night time. So let me write the, okay, night trip, else it will be a day trip. Okay, okay, so now we have to click on OK, and this will return our conditional column in which we will be getting the two values, which is day and night trip. Okay, okay, so it has created a column in which it is having the night trip and the day trip. Okay, so you can see it is also having the blanks. So there is one blank column, so let me replace it with the night trip. Okay, yeah, okay, so we'll get only the night trip and the day trip. Okay, now let me save it into our lake house. Okay, so it is successfully published. Now let me see where is our the column which we have created. Okay, so we got here it is not showing. Let me refresh it. Okay, now it is showing the hour and the trip type. Okay, so let's go to our SQL Analytics endpoint in the model layouts. Okay, so here it is showing. Let me update the semantic model. Okay, okay, let me refresh the Power BI report, and here you will get both the columns. Okay, we got our both the columns here, and now let's create a visualization. Okay, so let me copy this visual and paste it. Okay, so here we have to change the payment type with the trip. Okay, so let's change it to trip type. Okay, so basically it is showing the day trip and the night trip. Okay, so let me check. Okay, so basically you can see in the second visual which we have created, it is showing the title by booking type. Okay, by payment type. Okay, so we need to create another measure, so it should show by trip type. So let me create another, let me copy this measure, and we have to we have to modify it. So we have to change by payment type to by trip type. Okay, the same measure will work, but we have to change it by trip type. Okay, let me do some of the adjustment. Should be title 1 and by trip type. Okay, now let us refresh our Power BI report. Okay, so let me go to format and select the title which we have created. So we have to select our measure here. It is taking time. Let me clear it, and let me again go to Apex. Okay, now so here we are going to select our title 1. Okay, now you can see, now it is showing the total booking or total booking amount by trip type. Okay, now let me format it a little bit. Let me change the colors of the slices. So the day trip should be in this color. Okay, move to our next problem statement. So okay, let me go here, and you can see, so the next is vehicle type analysis. So basically we have to create a grid table or a matrix or a table visual to analyze key performance indicators just like total booking value, average booking value, total trip distance across different vehicle types. Okay, and also uh, we have Power BI implementation, use a table to display vehicle type with the KPIs. Also we have to apply the conditional formatting to highlight the high and low values. Okay, so enable sorting and filtering for user interaction. Okay, so let's go to our Power BI report. Okay, so let me copy this shape. Okay, okay, so now let me add a not a table visual. I will use a matrix visual. Okay, okay, so here let's add the details. So the first one is total booking and total booking value. So where is total booking? Okay, total booking value, average booking value, total trip distance, average booking value, and total trip distance. Okay, and in rows we have to add the vehicle type. Okay, now so we have to add the data bars to this total booking amount. So as mentioned here, to highlight high and low values. Okay, so what here we are going to do, we are going to select this, and we have to go to cell elements. Okay, okay, so total booking amount and turn on the data labels. So you can change the color also. Let me change the color to lightest purple. Okay, okay, so as you can see, UberX is having the highest total booking amount highest. Okay, so now let's go to our next, identifying peak and peak off booking days. Okay, total booking by a day we have to show. So let's go and let us add one more visual. So let me add a area chart. Okay, okay, so here we have to show the total booking by day. We are having a calendar table, and we can put the day. Okay, now we have to format it, so the title will be in the middle. Okay, and title will be total booking by day, and in x-axis, so you can see it is starting from 0, so we can set it as 1 minimum, so that it should start from 1. And in values we can take the dark color. Okay, and in y-axis also, for to the values we can take the dark color. Okay, and in grid lines we have to turn off the horizontal as well as the vertical also. Okay, so for to the shaded area, Okay, so we can turn on the data labels. Okay, here we can choose the different color. I will take this color. Let me take some darker. Okay, let me take it as a smooth, and let me take the same color. Okay, now it is looking perfect. Let me turn on the visual border. Okay, yeah, now you can see it is looking now perfect. Okay,